tribe, how you guys doing? Let's go ahead and talk Big Brother. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. Listen, y'all remember a couple of years back when they tried to do an all girls alliance? I think this would have been a good season to try to do an all girls alliance. I don't know. You had Janelle, you had Danny, like you had some legends in the game. Like I feel like this might have been a good year to try to do it. Oh well, water under the bridge now. Listen, you had Christmas, who I ain't crazy about Christmas, like personally, but Christmas is she's a beast comp wise, like so. Um, but again, like I said, water under the bridge. Danny is playing chess, and everybody else in that house is playing checkers. And I feel like by the time y'all see what Danny is doing, Danny is gonna be on top, and she's gonna be running the girls. I'm ahead of myself. It's eviction night. Kesar, Janelle on the block. I guess I'm ahead of myself because it's anticlimactic. We knew they was gonna send Janelle home. There was nothing Janelle could say to the people who were in power in the house to make them flip. It just wasn't. They had no reason. First of all, most of them didn't care who went home. Like, you know, most of them were like, I don't really care which one goes home. But Kesar is less of a threat, and I think nobody actually said it. Well, they might have said it on the show, but they edited it out. They didn't show it to us. They may have actually said it, you know, in the house. But I don't think anybody's scared of Kesar by himself. They're scared of Kesar Janelle as a duo, but Janelle by herself, she's still very scary. So anyway, so I knew that there just really wasn't anything they could do. They show, you know, but of course they have to make an hour out of it. So they show everybody talking about who's gonna vote for who. The alliance has a whole meeting talking about who they're gonna vote for. And Danielle and Bailey, they want to kind of try to flip it, but they know they don't have the power. They just don't have a big enough voice in the room to flip it. What they tried. Their only argument was, listen, you know, we've sent home 3 girls already. Well, this will be 3 girls. Like, you may want to throw a guy in the mix just so it doesn't look so bad. But Danny was quick to swoop in and say, don't worry about that. We got your back next week, Tyler. Like, you don't have to worry about no backlash. We got you. And that was the end of that conversation. And really, you know, Bailey and Davon kind of ain't have a whole lot more to say. Like, what? They just don't have a big enough voice in the room. Janelle is actually trying to go through the house and give votes, and everybody is telling her the same thing. Well, if you can get the other 5, I'll be number 6. But nobody was willing to go out on a limb. Nobody was willing to put their game on the line to save Janelle. Not when she didn't have the votes. Like, she just didn't have the votes. She just didn't. Kesar wouldn't even campaign against her, so he wasn't even giving anybody anything to say, oh, well, you know, Kesar said this, and this, so he's pissed us off. Maybe we should flip it. Like, it just didn't happen. So that's out the door. Do we even need to go through that? Let's talk about the few things that did go down that were very important. So Tyler and Cody had gone to David and told David that Davon was trying to flip votes on him last week, and she was trying to flip and have him sent home. But they were like, don't say anything, we just let you know what's going on. And what they were basically saying was, you think that black girl got your back, but she don't, and we just letting you know so you stay with us. You stay with the white side and don't go over to the Black Lives Matter side. Now that's how I took it. I ain't saying that's what they said. I'm saying that's how I took it. But so David decides to talk to Bailey about it. And you know what I love about Bailey? Bailey was like, listen, I ain't trying to be in the middle of this. What you need to do is the 2 of y'all need to talk and y'all need to figure this out. So she gets the 3 of them in the room and they have the conversation. And basically Davon is like, not only was I not trying to flip the house, I was blowing my game up trying to have your back. I told people point blank, people that I was cool with and I was aligned with, I told them point blank, I'm not voting against David. I'm not putting David out there like that. I'm not going to do it. And so she said, I trust you, but you don't trust me, clearly. And Davon was getting really emotional and really upset. But I'm gonna respect how all 3 of them handled it. David felt bad. He apologized, and at that point, ain't nothing more he can do but apologize. Um, but now Davon knows that Tyler and Cody said this about her. So as they're coming up out the room, David and Bailey are still kind of having a powwow about it. Tyler rose up, and Tyler was like, "Oh, well, who pissed David off?" Because he could tell that David was a little irritated, or the way the conversation looked like David was irritated. So he was like, "Oh, who pissed David off?" So David ends up having the conversation with Tyler. He tells Tyler the whole situation. Now he made it seem like, man, they had me back against the wall, man. They forced it out of me, when it's the total opposite. Like, you went to them. But neither here nor there, Tyler was like, dude, you have blown up my whole game. Because now you have Davon looking at me crazy, and you've made me a target. I'm already a target next week because I'm outgoing HOH. Although in this case, you ain't really got no blood on your hands, Tyler. Like, you really don't. Nobody's really paying. Like your target is the same. Like, he doesn't have a bigger target because he sent Janelle home. Only from the people who really rocked with Janelle, and the people that really rocked with Janelle, for the exception of Kesar, they still ain't gonna make a big enough swing. Like, if Bailey wins HOH or Davon wins HOH, even though they was rocking with Janelle, they're not gonna go against their alliance. So they're still not going to get revenge for Janelle. Not right now. Now, that doesn't mean that later on down the road, they won't try to get some guys out of there. But it won't be out of loyalty to Janelle. It just wasn't that deep. Like, they liked her. They would love to have seen her stay over Kesar, but it ain't that deep. So, Tyler, yes. Do you now maybe have a little conflict with Davon? Sure. Do you now feel like you can't trust David? David, you screwed. And this whole thing, David is the one that got screwed. Like, I mean, you screwed yourself. Like, you should have just kept your mouth shut. And that's a conversation that you can have with Davon at a later date. Like, right now, it just ain't that serious. Like, you're not on the block. She ain't on the block. It's not even an issue. I don't even know why you felt the need to even have this conversation. And he's talking about something. I'm just not a good liar. I'm just not as good of a game, as good at this game as I thought I was. Well, first of all, if you ain't a good liar, then no, you damn sure don't need to be on no damn Big Brother. Like, 2, you're right, you're not that good at this game. And 3, even if, again, you felt like you needed to clear the air, now was not the time to do it. Maybe when Davon was HOH or you were HOH, then you could have said something. But right now, it just didn't do nobody any good to have a conversation about it. So, Tyler's pissed at you now, and basically Tyler was like, he's dead to me. So you have basically turned on the only people that really did have your back, because Davon and Bailey were only voting for you, or because they weren't even really supporting you, because you didn't act like you really wanted to rock with them, but they were only having your back just because Davon was like, I just can't vote against another black person. It wasn't because y'all had this big alliance or y'all was real cool or whatever. So you already didn't really have that in your favor. Then the people that did sort of have your back, Tyler and Cody, now you have thrown them, and they're done with him. Like, they, excuse me. Ooh, sorry. They are totally done with David. But here's what the funny part is out of the whole situation. Do you want to know what the funny part about that whole situation is? The puppet master in that whole scenario is Danielle. Because Danielle was the one who started it to begin with, who started the whole rumor about Davon to begin with. She's the one that went, and that's what I'm like, Tyler, why aren't y'all having that conversation? Because once Davon said, I didn't do it, that wasn't me, yeah, be mad at David, that's all great. But y'all didn't actually hear Davon do it. Danny claims that she did. That's the conversation y'all need to be having. Now, quiet as it's kept, loud as it's heard, somebody in my comments then already said that they done caught Danny in some lies and that the house is sort of on to her. So I guess that's going to play out Sunday night. I don't know. But it is, well, Monday night, whenever the next one is, I guess that'll sort of play itself out. But for right now, Danny is sitting in the cut. Now, let me tell you something else that Miss Chess Player did tonight. So, that was that. It was what it was. The other thing that went down was the vote. Now, the vote came down to, like I said, they knew they were sending Janelle home. It was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But when they first came through and started voting, I forgot who the first person that voted was, but the first person that voted for Janelle. Then Danny came through and she voted for K-Star. And she even laughed when she did it. So now I was sitting there like, oh wait a minute, did they flip? Did something happen in the last minute? Like, did something go down? Did Janelle convince them to flip? But then, for the exception of Enzo, who y'all know Enzo, everybody goes left, Enzo goes right. Everybody else voted for Janelle. Janelle went home. But you know what Danny did, right? Danny threw that extra vote out there to throw off. It's that, y'all know that trick that they do in Big Brother. Who was the vote? Who went against the alliance? Who was the rogue voter? And I bet you, dollars to donuts, Danny is going to try to convince the house that was Davon that voted to save Janelle. That's my 2 cents. We'll see if I'm right. There was no HOH crown tonight. It was one of those competitions that lasted beyond the broadcast. So unless you go onto the live feed or you go and you go follow it on Twitter or whatever, you don't know who the head of household is tonight. What I may do is check before I go to bed, and maybe I'll post it on my community wall for those of you who don't have the live feeds and all that good stuff, so y'all will know if I remember. So I may forget to check myself. But that's what it is. Y'all let me know what y'all think. What y'all think about this Danny situation? I think if they don't catch on to Danny and they don't get her out of there soon. But right now, Cody and them think they running the house. Danny is the puppet master. And I ain't even mad at you, Danny. I'm watching you, girl. I'm watching.